Okay, good evening and welcome to Weekend Dance Podcast. My name is Sabi Vess and today is Tuesday, the 15th of April 2026. I'm honored to speak with Krista Dismuke, who is a dance instructor. We are so honored to have her teach our inclusive dance class, and today we just want to have a conversation about how everything went for her and just to see how things go. Krista, maybe you talk about yourself. I know you have a lot about your different identity or something that you identify as. But let's talk about who is Krista as a dancer.
Okay, so hello and thank you for having me on the podcast. So my name is Crystal Dismuke and I am just a dance enthusiast, really. I would say my longest history with dance is line dance, actually. I've been line dancing off and on for probably close to 2 decades. I started off doing it as a fun way to lose weight, actually. And then I got asked to be on two different line dance teams, performance teams. So I've done different showcases doing line dances in different places around. This was in Wisconsin. I have also made and choreographed my own line dances to several different songs, and I have taught intermittently line dance as well, and I just enjoy it. Aside from that, I do Detroit style ballroom dance, kizomba, and the like. So kizomba, Simba, urban kiz, Chicago stepping, dabble a little bit with salsa bachata and some other styles. Pretty much any partner dance, I will try it. Wow. And I will try to follow it.
Yeah, you did compa as well?
Compa as well, yes.
Mm-hmm. So you've done a lot of these styles. What do you think was common between them that made it to be versatile, to be able to dance a lot of styles like this?
I think the common denominator is just really trying to connect with your partner and listen. I think dance has taught me a lot about the whole just letting go of control a little bit and submitting into my role as the follower, but not completely submitting because I'm a very important part of the dance as well. So I think that's the commonality, is just finding your own style along with listening to someone else and taking direction from another person. In all the dances, by the way, I follow. I don't lead much.
Okay.
I play around with leading, but on the social dance floor, I'm generally going to be, you'll find me as a follow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you've shared a lot about your experience as a dancer, doing different dance styles. And of course, I'm assuming at this stage that you taught sighted people.
Yes.
Okay,
until now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, of course, you've been to Dance in the Dark Socials here in Atlanta, and which is a socials for visually impaired people, blind and visually impaired, plus sighted people, of course. But this was your first time that you taught blind people.
It was.
Or people with disability, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, what was your reaction, when I reached out and I said, Krista, I'd like you to teach?
Yeah, so when I was first approached about teaching, I was excited, actually. I thought it would be a nice challenge for me. I like to challenge myself and stretch myself in ways that, maybe for things that I haven't done before. So I was excited and also a little bit intimidated because I was like, I feel like I'm good. I'm an educator by profession. And then I also, like line dance and have taught line dance, but never in this combination. So I thought, all right, well, it'll be a good test of my skills. So I was up for the challenge.
Wow. And therefore, you probably had some assumptions, some things going through your mind. I'm wondering, myself, before I went blind in 2018, I taught dance Kisoba in Dallas, Texas as a sighted person.
Mm-hmm.
But when I transitioned and become as a blind person, the first time I taught as a blind person, it was kind of stressful for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I had experience teaching there was just a lot of mixed
Yes,
emotion and stuff.
for
But
sure.
I'm wondering for you, what assumptions did you have in mind before going to teach that class?
I was just thinking, is this gonna translate? Am I going to be able to be descriptive enough and explanatory enough for the students to actually get it? So that was kind of my big thing. Like, okay, are they gonna get this? That was the big question mark in my head. So it was just kind of like a nervous excitement. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and how did you deal with nervousness?
I'm pretty chill. So, what I did was just try to do a practice run with children or a couple other people, and had them blindfolded, and try to explain the moves, and then just think about it. Like, okay, if I'm unable to clear, because line dancing is definitely done where you're looking at the instructor and you're mimicking their steps. So I was thinking about it like, all right, if I can't see the instructor, how could I learn this dance? And so I tried to put myself in the shoes of the students that I would be teaching. And that, I think that kind of worked well, because I was, thinking, all right, if I explain it this way, but my eyes are closed, or if I can't see, is this does it sound right? Does it help the student make the right move?
Yeah, and of course, you talked about how you prepared. I also remember that we did have a session where we talked through, I shared some insights from my experience and some of the methodology or techniques that I use to teach classes, and I'm sure those things help you. Were you able to apply any of those in class?
Yes, I should also add, preparation for me was coming to some of you guys' classes and socials, because I was able to see how you do things and also lead a little bit in the socials. And so that was actually very helpful. I had never thought about describing things on a keypad or a clock. Some of the methodology doesn't translate quite so well with line dance, because you're sometimes moving past 3, or you might be taking 4 or 5 steps in one direction. So once you're at 1, 2, 3, what's after that? So I kind of had to use a combination of the standard methodology with just thinking of how can I explain this if a clock or a keypad doesn't fit. So it was a combination of both.
Yeah, so the way I tackled that problem, I came up with this technique to teach. Of course, I don't know if people are doing it elsewhere in the world, but here I came up with a keypad technique. And how I deal with that challenge is that, I think about scaffolding, to introduce things bit by bit, or decrease challenge. So if something is long, I break it down into little pieces so that it fits into that keypad. And then I teach one piece, and then teach another piece that fits into that part, and they add the pieces now. Then they're able to do it. But if you want to do everything long, it will not fit into that keypad. So that's kind of scaffolding approach that I use. Okay. You did talk about challenges, that it was challenging for you, thinking about this experience of teaching people who are blind, they can see you. I'm wondering, how did the challenge play itself, review itself in class? Like during classes, what were the key challenges you faced, and how did you overcome
them? In class, when a challenge came up as far as maybe something not translating well, once again, I just kind of thought about it. I wanted each student to feel like they were seen and heard and attended to. So if a challenge presented itself, I took the approach of going side by side with that person and doing one-on-one with them. So it'll be a quick, hey, did everybody get that? Were there any questions? And if questions were, people expressed that they were having challenges, I would walk over to them and say, hey, okay, let's break it down little by little. What did you miss, or how can I help you fix it? And that proved to be really effective. They were mostly able to get it within seconds. Once I took the time to just break away with them for just a moment, I would be able to clearly explain it one-on-one with them.
Right. And of course, you were teaching line dance, and from what I understand, I've taken, I think, maybe 1 or 2 line dance classes. And from what I understand is that, you have a series of dance moves that everybody's performing, like, kind of like in a dance, as the name symbolizes. So I'm trying to imagine that this is something that is coordinated kind of movement, that everybody does things in synchrony and in a line. So I'm imagining that it would have been very challenging because people cannot see their partner. So how did people manage to get things like together, to do things together, to do the move together? Or were there times that people were out, everybody's going their own direction because I can't see the line?
So
Yeah.
it was a little easier because you only have to, with line dancing, you only have to worry about yourself. So you're not dancing with a partner, you're dancing next to or in front of or behind someone, but you're dancing alone within a group. So that took care of one part of the problem. Each person only had to worry about themselves. But as far as, there were a couple of times where someone would get maybe in the wrong direction. So there were, a couple small little, times where someone would bump into another person. But I just did kind of work with spacing to make sure everyone was spaced an adequate distance away from the next person, the person in front of or behind or to the right or the left. So yeah, there were some times, but also that's part of the instruction, is to try to keep everyone in the same direction at the same time. And we would always open up class and I would explain to them that line dancing is, when people are dancing in the same direction at the same time to the same music. You can have your own style and your own flavor within that, but the goal is to kind of get to the right place at the right time. Right. So they were very receptive to that, and they knew, okay, if we're turning 90 degrees to the right or the left, it's important that everyone was kind of facing that direction at the same time. So it was minimal. The slip-ups were actually minimal.
Nice.
Yeah.
In my classes, I found out that reminding people all the time about their orientation is important, so that everybody is in sync as to which direction they are moving. And even myself, sometimes I forget my orientation and I'm facing a different direction, and Nikki will come to me and move me.
Yes, it happens. It happens.
So it's good to remind people all the time about direction and stuff like that. Yes. Well, once the class started, was there any surprise to you? Because you were teaching people that you've never taught before. You were teaching people whom society see dancing like it doesn't belong to people with disability. What was surprising for you when you started teaching?
What surprised me is that they were really eager. They were very hungry to learn the dances and very successful at learning the dances. And that did come as a surprise to me. Not that I doubted myself or doubted them, but there was just these question marks. There were some unknowns. So the surprise was the success in how they wanted to learn and did actually learn the dances. And how they picked up on the instruction pretty well.
Wow. So yeah, talking about your instruction, I'm imagining you use different things to describe movement and stuff, but can you just highlight some of them? I'm not sure if we talked about that already, but like how did you communicate movement? Because you teach blind people who cannot see you.
So what we did is I played the song that they would be dancing to first, so they can get an idea of the feel of the song, and then I would describe it. So for instance, for one of the songs, I said, okay, so this dance, you can move a little bit, it's slow, it's a groove, you know. And then other songs I might say, hey, just give them a preview. This one's going to be pretty fast, it's lively. Some of the students had questions on when do we actually start the dance? And so I would talk to them about listen to this cue in the music to know when you take your first step. So I try to just introduce them to what they were going to be doing and to what music, first of all. And then secondly, we broke the dance down piece by piece, bit by bit, similarly to what you were saying. So instead of trying to teach them the entire dance at one time, I taught them a little part of it. Okay, let's do these 4 moves. And is everybody good on that? Okay, let's add on 2 more and then add on a couple more. So what some of the things that I taught them were cha-cha, like moves like the cha-cha. You can travel with the cha-cha, forward or backward. I taught them different ways to turn in the dance, because usually when you're dancing, you might start on one wall, then you turn somehow to a different wall, and throughout the dance you're on all 4 walls. So I would teach them how to navigate to the next wall of the dance. And let's see what else we worked on. Well, we worked on popping our fans, because fans are a big part of line dance culture. I taught them how and when to pop their fans, because it's not random. You do it at certain points in the song or in the dance. So we talked a lot about timing, tempo. There was one dance that I taught them that was a little bit faster. So I taught them the step at half speed, and then I used a clapping to tell them how fast they would go. Oh, and one other thing, I worked with some DJs, and I had the songs slowed down to about 85% of the full tempo so that we could practice it at slower speed before we went into full speed.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, if you're joining us, my name is Sammy Vess, and I'm speaking to Crystal Dismuke, who's a dance instructor. She taught line dance at our inclusive dance classes here in Atlanta. That was held at Elements Dance Studio in March. That was in March.
Yes.
And every quarter we host dance classes. And if you want to find out more information, check or visit weekenddance.org. Weekenddance.org. Yeah. So, Krista, was there any moment during your class that stood out for you? That were like, wow, okay, that like highlights or something?
Yes. Couple. One moment that stood out for me is the songs that in the dances that I introduced to the students were from not super common genres. So like Kizomba has its own music that goes with the dance, and salsa has its own music, bachata has its own music. Line dance is really danced to, and what I taught them was urban line dance, so it's really taught to any song. So for instance, the songs that you hear on the radio, usually there's a line dance that goes with it. So I went into some genres. I went into a genre called Southern Soul, and it's a really bluesy, soulful style of music. I taught them a song from the Zydeco music genre, which is more like Creole, Caribbean, and then I taught them one that was more like a soca / Afrobeat. So what stood out for me is that they loved all the music, and then the music was pretty like soulful, and but they loved it. Like when I played the song to preview, they danced before they even knew what the line dance was going to be. They were moving and grooving to it. So that was a standout moment to me, just seeing how much they enjoyed the music. And just, I tried to play music that was really had a lot of bass and had a lot of rhythm that kind of gets down in your soul, and they enjoyed it. So that was a standout moment for me. Another standout moment for me was the feedback that I got. I feel like the students really got something out of the class, and I had some really hardworking students who went home and practiced in between classes. And before we started the classes, they would come to me and say, hey, look, I got it, or I almost got it. Can you help me with this one little part? Because I've been working hard on this between classes. And that was another stand-up moment to me, that the students were really diligent about trying to get the dances and the moves. And so, I would say those would be some stand-up moments for me.
Wow. That's amazing. So I know we've talked about challenges already and your teaching style, but of course, is there any adjustment that you had to make in your teaching style?
Yes. So some adjustments that I made were, so with the dances themselves, each dance has a person that choreographs the dance. And I did think about, how to make the dances inclusive to people that aren't sighted, and also safe for people who aren't sighted, because some of the line dances have turns that are really difficult to master, and I wanted the students to feel success. So I did have to make slight modifications to the dances to ensure the students' success and safety.
Right.
So I did, on some of the turns, I had to think out alternate moves that would still, if you're on the dance floor, even if these people are out at a party or something that has nothing to do with a small class setting, they can still navigate through the dance and be right in flow with everyone else, but have small modifications done to certain moves that, may not be conducive to non-sighted people. So that was an accommodation that I made that I felt like helped to get the students where they needed to be, still at the right time, on the right count, but just in a slightly different way. And only small modifications during certain parts of the dances, but so those were adjustments that I had to make.
Wow, awesome.
And also just being very, very descriptive.
Yeah, yeah. I try my best too, and it really helps a lot to be very descriptive, because a lot of videos that I watch, or even when I attend dance classes, instructors are teaching, they are barely descriptive. Teachers whom I respect so much, I attend their classes, and you just hear people talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they step in, and I don't even know which leg, which direction, all this, what I so giving a lot of description help. Now, this is your first time teaching blind people, and just imagining that this must be a very transformative experience for you. But in which way do you think this changed your perspective as a dance instructor? This experience, how did it change your perspective as a dance instructor?
So, I would say it did change me. I think it impacted me positively, because I would say, let's think about that. How did it change me? I think it made me stronger, for sure. I think it made me stronger. I think it helped with my confidence as well as an instructor. And it allowed me to really just think outside of the box, and helped me not to be take a one-size-fits-all approach. It made me really kind of do I'm forgetting the word, but it's something that we use in teaching, and it's just skipping my mind, but basically looking at every person as different and seeing that some people learn different ways. Because what I did is I would say, hey, I'm going to describe this move in 2 different ways, and whatever fits you best, it means the same thing, but you might hear it best if I say right, left, or you might learn it better if I say 1, 2, 3, 4. So just kind of making sure I find different ways to meet different people's needs. So it really helped me with that.
Yes, you did mention something about people with different, of course, people are different in different ways. Some of us are tall, some people are short, some people are with different sizes, and the class is just a class of a class that reflects diversity. But I'm wondering whether this experience did shift your perspective of what dance is really. What really is dance?
Yeah. I would say it taught me that dance is just universal. It's universal no matter your age, your size, your sight, your ability. Dance is something that everyone can learn, everyone can do, everyone can share and enjoy and appreciate. So I just feel like dance is just a universal expression from within that everyone can do. You look at even babies and they can enjoy dance and experience it and listen to it. So yeah, I think dance is just universal language.
Wow. Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's for everybody, and I'm wondering what your opinion is of what an inclusive space like this, an inclusive experience like this really mean for dance.
Well, for me, I think it means acceptance. I think it means tolerance and even understanding. I think some people have an understanding of what it means to be blind or not have sight. And I think for a lot of people, that assumption is incorrect. Um, I believe that people feel like, not having sight is a barrier to a lot of things, but just attending and also teaching a class like this helps me to understand and even explain to others that it's not a barrier. It's a part of a person, but it's not a person's whole identity, and they can share just as many things as we can with sight, and some things they can probably experience on an even deeper level. So I think it just helps with tolerance and acceptance and just understanding. I was able to see these people as real people with real lives, and
Wow. Yeah, you did talk about barriers, and the goal is always to remove these barriers. So we create inclusive spaces where people just come and connect. And for me, what I've realized is that when we break down these barriers, these spaces that we create, dance become that medium to really just connect differences, connect us to just embrace each other and respect each other and just share the joy of dancing. So when these barriers are removed, it's unbelievable what dance can do. Sometimes our differences is separating us. But when we remove barriers and bring people with disability, bring people who are different in their opinions, bring people who are not like us to come in and participate, you see connection happen. And we don't see each other again like different. We are different, but dance, when all these barriers are removed and they become inclusive, tends to connect us even though we are different. And that's so powerful. And I think the advice is that mainstream dance community should start thinking about removing barriers and bringing in people with disability into their communities, into their classes, because that diversity strengthens the community instead. So yeah, is there any advice that you would like to give other instructors who might one day be teaching people with disability?
Yeah, I would say just know that your way is probably wonderful and excellent, but it may not be the only way. You may need to think about different ways to teach and explain and articulate the movements and the patterns. I would also say go in with the expectation that these are real people who are there, who want to get something out of the class, who want to get something out of the dance. When I would go to class, as we were getting people registered and getting people set up, there would just be this lively buzz in the class. People would be talking and sharing, maybe even enjoying a snack. And that's something that instructors can even think about. Like, what can we do even before the instruction starts to bring people together. Yeah, stimulate conversation. So maybe having them share a snack or conversation. Maybe at the beginning of class, open it up with a circle and have people introduce themselves and talk about what they want or what they need from class. Also, just go in with the mindset of having fun, having success, and sometimes success might look different in a class that has people with different abilities. We talked about in class, we talked about how line dance is done for exercise, it's done for cognitive ability, it's done for sense of community and unity, it's done to celebrate. So at the end of the class, sometimes we would talk about how class was successful. And sometimes success is going to look like everybody getting every move and every step. And sometimes success is going to look like, did we foster community? Did we stimulate our minds and our cognitive ability? It might look like, were we social? Did we have fun? Was there a sense of celebration? Was there a sense of unity? So keeping an open mind about what success looks like, and also just really getting to know the students. It's sometimes I feel like instructors base their success on, did they create the biggest buzz, or did they teach the most, involved, in-depth, flashy, showy combination. Sometimes I think instructors should think about, did I connect with the students? Did the students feel successful? Did they leave class happy? Do they want to come back? So I think as instructors, we should think about those things as well when we are teaching.
Wow, that was a lot insightful. Thank you so much. Another advice I have for people who love to teach people with disability, or teach a mixed class of people with disability, as I tell people, is that the mistake I see other instructors make is that they get into a class as the expert. I think the expert are those people, those students, and you just said you have to listen to them. You have to connect with them and know what they need, and listen to their challenges, listen to what they want to learn, and they will tell you their challenges, and you can remove those barriers and then make the class more inclusive. If you just go with the mindset that you know everything, it will be a big mistake. Another thing is that to approach the class, for me, I approach the class like I'm teaching. I teach individuals in the class. When I'm teaching a class, I don't teach everybody like, I'm teaching a group of people. I tell on my class, I'm always adjusting things to meet individuals' needs. And that's why I always connect with students, talk with them, and try to understand your own problems so that I adapt whatever I'm teaching to meet your needs. So I don't go the whole mindset, and that is what I've really learned from teaching blind and visually impaired people. This is not the mindset I had in the beginning when I was sighted and teaching dance, but things shifted. Well, Crystal, this was a lot insightful. I want to thank you so much for being part of Weekend Dance, for teaching our inclusive dance classes. This is not all, of course. We are going to be hosting one of our very big events in November 14, 2026 at Elements Dance Studio. Please visit weekenddance.org, and Crystal, like I told you, you'll be teaching line dance at that event. It's going to be a day of dance workshop and social dancing at night. More details coming, so visit Weekend Dance. Crystal, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for just being part of our community.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, thank you everyone, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.